The Vietnam War was an absolute nightmare for American soldiers. Before even seeing the enemy, they were already defeated by booby traps. So much so that eventually, and infuriated us, resorted to chemical weapons that harmed both sides. This was the first trap the Vietnamese soldiers prepared for the US troops. Dense, sharp spikes were embedded at the bottom of a deep pit, which was then concealed with weeds and plants. Once an American soldier fell in, even if they didn't die, the severe injuries would incapacitate them. These spike traps were also effective underwater. Besides spike traps, Vietnamese soldiers would also put venomous snakes in the pits. If a US soldier fell in, they would be bitten by the snakes, making survival almost impossible. To make cautious American soldiers trigger the traps, the Vietnamese also used hornets to force the troops to run around blindly and fall into the pits. As the US military began using advanced weapons, Vietnamese soldiers were forced to move the battlefield underground. These are the tunnels dug by the Vietnamese. They extended in all directions, covering nearly 250 kilometers, functioning like an underground city. The underground kitchens had multiple smoke exhaust vents, allowing them to cook right under the enemy's feet without being detected. Nearby, there was also an underground well, providing safe drinking water for the soldiers, because they lived underground for long periods, to boost the soldiers' morale. There was even a small cinema inside. It was powered by an adjacent bicycle generator. This power generation equipment was also used to supply electricity to underground hospitals. The Vietnamese soldiers would use hammocks made from US parachutes and sleep on the second underground level. They usually operated late at night, always catching the US troops off guard. To force the Vietnamese soldiers out of the tunnels, the US military pumped poison gas into them. However, the Vietnamese were prepared. They installed trapdoors at every key tunnel entrance, which effectively blocked the gas from entering. Furthermore, the tunnel entrances were everywhere. Some could even only be accessed from underwater. This underground guerrilla tactic left the US troops struggling to fight back. Ultimately, they deployed bombers to carpet bomb the surface. But because the tunnels were up to 20 meters deep and protected by a layer of iron-rich laterite clay, the tunnels didn't suffer significant damage. As a result, the US military had to train a special group of soldiers to enter the tunnels. These soldiers would tie a rope around themselves. After crawling a certain distance, they would sketch a map of the tunnels in a notebook. Because the tunnels had many twists and turns, the US troops needed incredibly fast reflexes. Otherwise, they could be killed at any moment by waiting. Vietnamese soldiers. The tunnels were also filled with scorpions, venomous snakes, and spike traps. Once triggered, they would be trapped there forever. The US military was left completely helpless against the Vietnamese soldiers in the tunnels. Eventually, they were forced to use a double-edged sword, Agent Orange.